not in a classical game or an official game.
Only in a bullet game, actually.
One bullet game as he played this move. So he's playing his bullet prep.
Okay, so materially wise, it's equal, but Black has very good central controls with the pawns here, and the development is quite nice. I have to say I like Black's position here, but the question is what happens after something like d3 when White tries to develop the bishop to f4, which seems like a logical move to make. So yeah, the question is how to continue the development for both players. Black would really like to castle long, but that's currently not possible due to the queen hitting c8. So I'm a bit uncertain how to proceed here. Maybe something like rook g8 is also possible, hitting on g2.
But what? Yeah, where do White want to go with the king? It seems dangerous to castle into the
White
open
needs,
G line. So
yeah, White certainly needs to figure out how to get this bishop out. Okay, so he decides to go for the b3.
So maybe White will castle then.
Yeah, that's certainly an option. Going bishop g2 followed by a long castle. Yeah, could be an option that both player goes for the long castle here.
You know, Sebastian is playing really quickly, so hasn't spent a minute yet.
What do you think about something like this?
Just exchanging everything. You have a lot of pawns in the center. Yeah, I'm not sure about this endgame.
I'm not sure either. Very unorthodox pawn position.
Yeah, you have two double pawns, two pairs of double pawns, and
yeah. Let's take a look at the last game that we haven't looked at yet, which is Lars Oskar Hauge with the black pieces against Kirill Shevchenko with the white pieces. Let's go quickly through the game. So this is a Berlin defense from Lars Oskar. Very normal stuff. Just trying to develop very normally.
Yeah, this is just thick theory.
Yes. And now trying to break in the center.
Apparently d5 was a new move, but it still looks completely normal.
It does. But Wasoska ended up with this really bad pawn structure here, and that ended up with one pawn.
Are you losing a pawn?
Dropping here on c6, and now it's also some threats towards the bishop, which he decides to retreat. Seems to me that.
So he has the bishop pair, but it was probably not intended to lose that pawn.
We actually have a result already, which is a draw from Mosienko Tari.
Let's take a look at that game. That was really quick.
That was really quick. We had this position here. So traded off, traded off, traded off.
Everything.
Yeah, now you get this very symmetrical structure with the pawns, which often ends up in draws, and they trade off virtually everything. Yeah, and this and they just decided to make a draw in this position, which is
yeah, it seems like they
understandable.
Just Bullet set out the moves. They both have over 8 minutes left, so yeah.
But final result for both players, I think.
Let's take a look at Magnus Carlsen.
Let's take a look at Magnus Carlsen. Okay, so this is where we left off.
They still follow the game Kusubov.
Yes. And here in the last game we expected a short castle, but Magnus decided instead to take the bishop on d3 and play queen a5. Okay, so black has a very, very sound structure here with this kind of pawn fortress, and he has the good bishop behind the line covering the black squares.
I'm not sure I see the idea behind queen a5 though.
Well, for one, it's putting the queen on a more active square than it was on d8. Also, it prevents the knight from moving, at least right now, because then the rook would be dropping.
But after bishop d2, there's some... don't you have to move it again?
Apparently,
you don't
apparently
have
you don't have to,
Okay,
because
so
Magnus
that's
decided to castle.
it's always dangerous to do that.
There are no very good discoveries here. Well, he does do a discovery.
But it's
Knight to b5, hitting the good bishop, and also hitting the queen. But now decides not to take the bishop, but playing a4 instead.
keeping the pressure.
Rook c8, exploiting the open c file. Rooks always want to be on open files.
But now the queen, black's queen, seems a bit misplaced.
Yeah, it's a bit awkwardly placed right now. But what it does is, it hinders the knight of ever taking on d6, because then the queen would be dropping. b6, b6.
It's a square for the queen at least.
Yeah.
Queen...
Can be dropped back to b7, but then the...
Yeah, you can't do it yet. So you have to... It seems... Yeah, you have to first move your bishop and...
Okay, so white plays very thematically here by pushing in the center, now threatening to play e5 with a fork. But Magnus plays calmly. First bishop f8, and after e5, knight e8. So his pieces are dropping back, but black seems to have enough pieces to defend, and there's not really any strong attack going on. But white tries.
White is trying to open up the king position.
Resourceful h4 move. Now wanting to play h5, and the question is:
Can you play h5?
Can you play h5 yourself, or is this scary?
It is tempting to sacrifice something as well.
Yeah, because okay, let's say you take if you take with the g pawn, h5 would be hanging, so that's no good. And if you take with the f pawn, then maybe even e6 seems very tricky, right?
Yeah,
because after something like takes, rook takes, then the king should be in somewhat of trouble, I think. Very threatened to do some desperado sacrifice here. I'm not sure if it actually works, but it's something that you need to take into consideration. Alright, so it did not go for this h5 move, but queen b7.
Okay, so it's not... Okay, so h5 now for...
h5 now for white, absolutely.
Maybe the point is that you don't really have much.
No.
So... If you take
you never want to take this, but you should just leave it be. And Magnus decides to play a6. Knight c3. And now knight g7.
Okay, yeah.
Bringing the knight into mostly f5 or
F5
covering f5.
Yeah, because you don't want to take on h5 anyways. But
h6, very interesting stuff right now. So what happens? What happens?
You can't. Okay, so that's how you defend the...
Because he decided to go back, now he's hitting the h6 pawn, but white is trying to push through here. f5, he takes f5. Now I'm expecting e6. I don't think sacrificing here on f5 is enough, is it? Probably not.
No, but Magnus has probably calculated this and found out that it's not enough.
But it seems like white has some play here, at least to me. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we cheated, and it is the best move.
It's actually the best move to take on f5 here.
And that's interesting that it's just a slight, or it's not a very huge advantage. Because when you sacrifice, usually you just win, or
What's White's continuation? Maybe it's as simple as trying to play e6, or maybe even bring the rook in. I'm not so sure.
The problem is that all of Magnus's pieces are on the queen side.
Yeah, they are, and they're kind of stuck due to this pawn chain here in the center. Interesting. So this is the current position where Kusabov is thinking he has a good position and he decides to sacrifice correctly.
He found the move, and Magnus takes.
Magnus takes, plays the critical line, and now queen takes f5. I'm very interested in knowing how Magnus will continue here, because
this is exciting, yeah. Because he is under pressure, and apparently, since we cheated, we know that Magnus is behind.
It's like I want to play something like queen to c6, trying to bring it over into the into the defense, but I suspect this is only going to be met by e6, and now this is really bad for black. Hitting the queen, bringing the rook into the attack as well. I don't see anything really concrete, but Magnus in trouble here. Certainly in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a quick look at Ivanchuk versus Christiansen.
Oh, wow. Christiansen has been thinking for a long time.
Okay, so after b3, rook g8. Very normal, hitting the g2 pawn. We discussed this briefly earlier.
But he spent 5 minutes, so he's obviously not in book anymore, because he usually knows these positions.
And also interesting, Ivanchuk decides not to guard this pawn at all, but just plays bishop b2 with a threat on f6. And now a6, followed by, this is a nasty move. So bishop e2, very nasty move, threatening. I think that's a threat at least, to go to h5, just giving a check, but making sure that the king is going to be stuck in the center pretty much forever. Now knight e5, probably out of necessity. It blocks the bishop of taking on f6, and also if white were to play bishop h5 here, maybe you can
g6 or
drop it back
f7. No, you can't go to f7.
Squares.
I mean, it also hangs on h7, and yeah, so it probably needs to go.
Yeah, but instead, Ivanchuk just goes long castle, which also seems really logical.
Why doesn't it hang on h7 here?
It does.
Well, that looks.
But this is also hanging, so
yeah.
Maybe there is some kind of, let's call it insurance here.
But yeah, it seems John Sebastian has spent 8 minutes on the last 3 moves calculating, so there's probably a lot of tricky lines there.
Magnus is done, it says. Is he done?
I think he means done as in, yeah.
Not done result-wise, but
position-wise.
done for, maybe position-wise. So he played rook c6. I'm just...
So it's just... Wow, yeah, this is a crushing game.
Needs to protect on f7, which would have been deadly.
You don't often see Magnus being this lost after 25 moves.
Okay, so in this current position, it's plus 5.7, but there is only one move that actually wins directly, which was e6.
No,
amazingly enough.
Okay, yeah.
I don't see the point exactly, but
take the rook.
This call move here. What's the point? Takes. The computer is so good. This is hanging.
5 minutes. 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 Yeah,
then
so
you can just grab it and go for
and mate.
this mate. Wow.
Yeah, so that was extremely complicated.
Really complicated, very long line, very concrete. But instead, Yusuf played knight f4, and now I was gonna say Magnus is back in the game, but
He had one move that.
he could have played rook takes h6, after which it's fairly equal apparently. But
Yeah, but it's only the computers that knows the win here, so it's and none of them has seen e6 yet, which is still the move that okay.
so Magnus decides to give up an exchange here because after all he is up a piece. Takes now takes queen g4, and I am wondering what happens if we take on d2. Yeah, it's always this e6 that is breaking up Black's defense here. Huh. This is apparently very good for White. Magnus still in big trouble here. Let's see if he can manage to Houdini his way out of this one. Probably not. I'm not very optimistic.
But has he found e6? No, he hasn't played it.
This is the current position.
Yeah.
Magnus is thinking, he's trying to figure out what to do. The problem is these very awkwardly placed pieces on the queen side, which are doing nothing, and you don't really have time to get them out, because you always need to focus on the king side where there is a lot of things going on.
Yeah, I'm not sure at which exact moment it went wrong.
Okay, so Magnus actually, it took on d2 and e6 was played, and now he has to figure out some. He has some really big issues here. So the threat is simply to take on f7, and if you take on e6, White has options here. First of all, he can take on e6 and then just gobble up this knight, or even play rook f7, winning the queen. So severe problems here for our world champion, but let's see if he can pull a rabbit out of the hat.
Yeah, this is really interesting.
Okay, let's take a look at Oscar versus Shevchenko. White still up material, one pawn, and it seems that White has a very good position as well.
Yeah, it just seems a simple pawn.
Very active pieces. Black is a bit passive, trying to defend. I'm expecting a loss in this game here.
Yeah, bishop here doesn't help much.
No, not against these very well-placed knights. I'm not sure exactly how White should proceed here, but I think anything goes.
People want us to go back to Carson's game. Has anything happened? Okay,
nothing happened yet.
But we need to make sure. Yeah, we need to. If anything happens, tell us in chat, and we'll go straight back. Yeah.
Actually, Fen Beingold there in the chat.
Ah, yes.
Yes. Okay, let's have a look at the other game which is going. Ivan Chuk versus Johan Sebastian. Let's see, we left the game off here after
rook g5. Yeah.
g5, threatening the queen. Now queen takes h7, which you wanted, and now we actually see the point why he hasn't taken on h7 earlier, and that's because now finally Black can take this long castle.
Of course, he had to stay there to prevent the castle.
Get the king into safety, and also getting this rook active. And to me, this seems like it's fine for Black. He is currently down one pawn, but at least he has piece activity.
But they're both down to 1 to 2 minutes, and
e6. h4, rook f5. There is something going on here, isn't it?
That's an awkwardly placed rook.
Very awkwardly placed. And we see now.
Yeah.
Oh, haha. Bishop g4. Whoops. Slight checkmate on a1. That's not what you want, so...
We have somebody saying, go back to Carson, do we have moves?
c3, I'm just gonna quickly, okay. Oh, okay, suddenly black is up a pawn.
Okay.
And I think maybe Johann Sebastian has a decent position here. Yeah, certainly a good position. -4 actually. Wow. If he can beat Ivanchuk, that would be a great victory for,
but they're both down to
for
seconds.
the Oslo team.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
But they're both down to seconds, so...
Seconds, actually. Johann Sebastian having 20 seconds on the clock. Ivanchuk with 50 seconds. This
now
is...
we gotta check Carson. Okay, so he played e6, f6. Oh, and it's hanging on
yeah,
e8.
I mean, he had to do something drastic.
Yeah.
This is maybe
so
the best he has.
Knight g7.
Knight g7,
and then
probably.
you
or
take with a rook on f6.
why not something like king f8?
Okay,
The
yes.
queen is covering this this mate threat here, and
it's probably better because
I'm not sure if black has the white has the luxury of sacrificing even more.
What about another rook f1 after it takes?
Maybe.
This looks crushing.
It does look crushing, doesn't it?
Oh no.
But then it isn't crushing, apparently.
Okay, so there's a...
Because you have this resource here. Very nice resource. And here, black needs to sacrifice some more. And...
So it is possible to go wrong, at least for us. Not
apparently
sure
this is
Crucible is going to do it.
This is draw? I don't understand.
That's
okay,
the weird...
so yeah, it's a perpetual here.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why it's a draw. So, but he played your move, knight to g7. Not looking too great. +9 currently.
Yeah, now rook f6 just seems crushing again.
But look at this beautiful move that white has. Rook a3.
Yeah, just bring the rook to...
Nice rook swing
G3.
over here, or to maybe to h3 even. Suddenly creating all the mate threats in the world, and this move is also very smart because it's blocking off this nice bishop e3 check.
Yeah, no, Magnus is down to seconds, is he? Okay, he played with 2 seconds left, that's it.
Kusabov managed to find this rook a3 move, very nice, and Magnus goes for queen to d5. Trying to hold it together, but is it possible?
Okay, now they're just blitzing out moves. He needs all his pieces around his king to try to avoid getting mated, but it seems hard.
I mean, even... I'm trying to calculate what happens here, but...
We're calculating takes, rook takes
Queen
f6.
d5 is a very smart move, because it's always hitting this d4 pawn with the check possibility. This should be completely lost, but it's not over until it's over. Let's save check, then you go back. So this is the current position. There should be some tactical blow here that just ends the game, I feel like, but you need to find it.
Yeah.
It's actually mate in 12.
Can anybody find the mate?
In 12.
In 12.
Computer is just way too strong. So queen f7 is supposed to be the best move, but every move here is just winning. Huh. Maybe the easiest is just to trade off queens.
And then they're just way up.
So this knight is being threatened. You need to move it. And now simply rook f6, winning f6, and you have these two connected passed pawns that are just winning. Okay,
And it's
so
over.
the game is over. It
Magnus
ended
resigned.
like this. I can just show you quickly. Queen f7 here, rook f6, check, queen h1.
Vi har en norsk vinner, da.
Å ja!
Yes.
Oi, oi, oi!
Yes.
Ok.
Nå må du vise
Yes.
partiet ditt. hæ?
Please.
Grattis.
Ivanchuk
So even though
måtte
Magnus
ned.
lost, we have a great victory against Ivanchuk,
Yes.
which ended in the mate as
Exactly,
well.
Yes.
Will you take us through the game?
Will you take us through the game quickly? You can have my chair, guest spot.
Thank you.
Yes.
So congratulations, seemed
Thank
like
you.
a very interesting game.
Yeah, I think so. This was the second time I played Ivanchuk. I played him in 2017, and I won that game with black as well.
You played your usual opening.
Yes, I did.
Did you see that your move E4 has never been played before in
No.
classical, but you played in a bullet game.
Yeah, we found this
No, but I-
E4 move in
One bullet game by you.
in a bullet game by you.
Yeah, but I played this twice in classical against Heikki
What?
Western.
Oh, so they haven't shown up.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I have 2 games against him.
Okay, actually, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a long time since I checked the line. It's an old classical line.
Okay.
Queen f5. Probably a good move. I hadn't seen it before, but I played just normal. Queen d6. Takes. My structure is not really too good, but it's supposed to be okay, I think. Last time I checked it.
Yeah.
And then if he fought for a while, went b3. Very interesting idea. I want to go. Sorry. Bishop b2 and long castles. Just play normal rook g8. My rook is not doing too much on h8, so why not just bring it to g8?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I can also go rook g6 to protect the pawn on f6.
G6, yes.
Yes, bishop b2. Play a6. Apparently not such a good move. I just thought it was okay. Takes on c6. Just have the structure. I thought that's nice, but his bishop b2 move was very nice. I completely missed it.
Yeah.
Because now I don't have any rook g6 anymore because of bishop h5. So that was a very strong move. He should be better here for sure. But here, I was quite happy because suddenly my king
Finally got to cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was important. So I'm a pawn down, but I have some compensation. I'm threatening his pawn on g2. But g3 was a strange move. I was expecting g4. I think g4 is a better move.
The G3 kind of makes sense.
Yeah, the problem is his queen. The queen
Right.
is a bit trapped on h7.
Can you play something? Yeah, you can actually maybe play Bishop G7 there.
Here,
Yeah,
I think I can try to
try to trap the queen.
trap the queen somehow. Maybe rook d7.
Aha.
I thought rook d7, queen h4, and then just go d4, something like this, to get some counter attack.
Very nice. Active pieces.
Yeah, I think that's how I should play. So g3, queen e6. I'm just trying to trap. I think I'm almost trapping the queen with rook d7.
Mhm.
Still has this h4 square.
Square left.
There's some knight g6.
Nice.
So h4. H4 was not a good move because rook f5 is a very nice move.
Yeah, but it looks awkwardly placed. on that
Yeah,
side,
it
but,
looks
works.
there's some bishop g4 moves,
Yeah.
but so now the queen is, let's say, if it doesn't, let's say it just protects it, the pawn f2, then I can trap the queen, rook d7, here and knight g6 and then
Okay, yeah, that's
Mm.
so he's already in trouble here, I think. He took on e5, and now I'm
you're threatening
yeah,
mate.
I thought maybe he wanted to go something like d4. It's a very nice line. I have to take en passant, and then he can go bishop g4, and you have to try to figure out where the mate is. I think there should be some kind of mate, like bishop a3.
Yeah, there should be, right?
Okay, king here. And I thought going back to b4. I think this is the line I saw. And it ends up with mates on f2.
ooh, nice.
Nice. And if king goes back to c1, then of course you have.
Yeah, that's the
queen.
point with bishop b4. So if king goes back here, now it covers this square, so queen a1 checkmate.
Nice.
Nice.
So you play c3, and here I should win much easier than what I think I here. I wasn't really sure. I didn't want to exchange the pieces, so but he was very keen on that.
Yes.
Thanks. I think d4 was a good move as well.
Yeah, seems like.
I have to break up, yeah. Takes, and now, yeah, here I struggled a bit. I felt like I should have some.
F5.
I wanted to go queen a3, king b1, rook d2. I thought I was mating. This was my original idea, and then queen e8, and my rook is gone.
Ah,
Yes.
Look at F5, that's such a computer move. Though.
Sorry, f5.
Yeah, F5. Because
Oh wow.
it's both threatening bishop h6 and.
Is that a real threat?
I think it might be. Maybe not here.
Because I can go bishop h6.
I was thinking like queen e3 and
Yeah.
then you have bishop h6.
Point is the queen has no squares.
Yeah.
Press queen c2. Maybe queen f4.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
GG.
GG.
Okay, so how did it proceed? You took on c3.
Yeah. It's not so clear, but I think if I just make some moves, at some point he will blunder with time travel. But it wasn't so easy. I'm very active though. I'm very active. Yeah. I mean, it's very hard for him to defend now. There's all sorts of mates, and queen d4 and queen d2, and you cannot stop everything here. So it will be a mate. Checkmate.
Checkmate, very nice.
Thank you.
Congratulations with
Congrats.
your win
Thank
and
you very much.
good luck in your last game.
Thank you very much.
But do we have one game
one
still
game.
going? I think we have. Yes, we do.
Okay.
We were not very optimistic about Lasowska's position earlier, but it seems that he has managed to cling on. And
Yeah.
from what I can tell, Black is maybe okay. Probably okay. Maybe it's even better.
Evaluation game.
Nah, it's probably draw.
0.0.
I say 0.0. What do you
Okay. I say 0.5.
say? 0.0. Okay, so he managed to hold on. Very impressive, I have to admit. Unfortunately, there are no check here because of rook f2 covering, not walking into this nice checkmate. So the bishop is hanging and goes back to b7. Even though this position is equal, does by no means mean that it will be a draw.
Still chances, and
Especially with
the pawns are so imbalanced.
they're very imbalanced, and the time situation is dire. Very low time for both players. 20 seconds to Lasowska versus 36 seconds for Shevchenko. Yeah, and apparently White is winning now. But why?
What? Okay, so you just win.
No.
What? Where did this happen? Which move was the blunder?
Yeah, so rook f4 is a very good move, threatening to go rook h4. And now you need to play this bishop d5
this
only
is-
move that holds the position.
Yeah, that's.
But rook g6, and now after this check and this check, now you cannot go here because of this.
This, yeah.
Yep.
Winning the queen.
Need to go here, and after check, you need to go to h7. And now rook h4 is just winning the queen and the game.
Yeah, so that's round 3.
Round 3, another victory for the Ukrainian team, and it seems that we already lost the entire match. Actually,
Yeah.
if we decided by match points because all three matches so far have gone in Ukraine's favor. But we will play out the last match nonetheless.
We will just remind people that you can donate, Norwegians can donate to the VIPS number shown on screen, 2170 for Ukraine, and other people can donate using the link in chat that I will post there.
Yes.
It goes to UNICEF for Ukraine.
Yeah, and it seems to me that the Ukrainians have a very nice fighting spirit, both on the chessboard and otherwise. So I'm not too surprised.
No. So let's take a short break before the final.
The fourth and final,
Final.
match.
We'll be back in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Live.
All right, we are back and live with the fourth match of this Solidarity event with Lviv in Ukraine. We are live here from the Good Night Chess Pub in Oslo, where the Norwegian team are playing. The match itself is already decided, actually.
Yeah, so it's 1 for the Ukrainians.
Yes.
3. They won all the 3.
All the 3 matches have been won. 2.5, 1.5 in the first match, 3-1 in the second, and 2.5, 1.5 in the third. But maybe Oslo can get it together and win one match here in the last round. At least we have the white pieces to show for, so that's at least something. Currently, we are looking at Magnus versus Kirill Shevchenko, and we have a bit of a weird Slav, I would say here. So this game started a bit weird with knight f6 and c6.
Yeah, this is.
So this and
Oh, wow.
b6. Very creative play here from Shevchenko, I would say.
Yeah, you
Queen
got him.
d2 and then knight e4. Of course, threatening the queen. I can see that this has been played several times.
It seems like a position where we'll get some transposition. Because usually you can't play these moves, but you play them in another order.
Yes.
You don't play c6 and queen b6
This hang
quickly.
probably
e3 and you can't protect the knight.
e3 and you cannot protect the knight. You're right. Okay, so this is one of the untouchables. So rather d5, e3, and now bishop f5, creating an X-ray attack against the queen, threatening this little trick here, knight to g3, protecting the bishop and also hitting the rook. So something needs to be done about this.
I just need to commentate. So the donation command, that's not. You need to use exclamation mark donate because that's not in use anymore. The other one, yeah.
Very good. Thank you to all the people who are donating for this cause. Yeah, let's take a look at some of the other games. We can jump to Lars Oskar, which has had who has had a very tough tournament this far, match so far, with
Yes.
only losses, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
What's-
And now he's playing the strongest player on the
Yeah.
Ukrainian team, which is
the
Faça
legend
Ivanchuk.
Ivanchuk.
Yes, legendary player.
Mhm.
Seems to me that he has an all right position. He has played the bird opening, which is one f4. It fits his style, and he plays this with black as well, but then it's called the Dutch. So fairly calm, but now he's starting to show his hand. So what he wants to do is probably to bring the queen over to h4 and start to launch a kingside attack here against the black king. So maybe something like this, or
Maybe
even
G
g5 or
F-
f5 at a
yeah.
certain point. Interesting position. Ariantari also hasn't had such a good match so far, but had a very solid draw in the last round. Let's see how this game progressed. So he goes for the London.
Goes for the London.
Very common opening,
Yeah.
especially on the internet these days.
Yeah, everyone's playing it, and yeah. So this position has been had tons of times before.
H6, bishop H4, G5. E5.
Okay, breaking.
Wow, so Kusubov is playing really resourcefully here. First of all, I would like to point out that the knight can take on G5, but then black would take in the center, and that's probably good for black. So instead, Arian goes for knight takes E5. This should be a pawn sacrifice, right?
It
E5?
looks well. So what it does is you probably want to play bishop f5, and there's a pawn on b2 that you can grab.
So the
in
rook
the
is a
end.
bit awkwardly placed here, protecting this pawn from the queen. And now probably the rook needs to move somewhere, and maybe
Then it seems like you can. Yeah.
grab here.
So that's probably the point of e5, and this is not the usual London. Usually London is these calm positions, but here we have some action in London.
Definitely
You
some action.
don't see too often.
No. Interesting stuff. We expect bishop f5 to be played. It was played. I'm starting to look at options here. Is it possible to give the rook for the bishop in some way and claim that that's all right?
I mean,
not
do you
sure.
have something like queen a4? Because maybe just move the king.
Yeah, that's a very good point,
You
because
don't-
now the bishop needs to move. The queen cannot go here, because
Mhm.
then comes this deadly pin.
So I guess you have
skewer, I think it's
skewer,
called.
yeah. So you have to
Um,
move the king because you don't
maybe-
want to play. Yeah, this looks interesting at least, but
Very interesting. Maybe now rook d1.
it's now the king is placed dangerously in the middle of the game. So
So we are actually right in the money here, because this has been played. And bishop c5 in this position.
yeah,
Hitting on f2, which is also kind of scary. Is this playable? No, I think we're about to get mated here, or not far from mated. What do you do about this?
yeah. This how do you? Oh, knight e4 doesn't work. I thought you had something there, but you just take once and then no, maybe it does work because now you protect e3.
And
And now it hangs on d5, so
but this one. The problem here is that if rook d2, then you can
take.
simply take it
But I'm thinking,
and take the queen.
yeah, but I'm thinking king f3, and the queen can't. The queen doesn't have any more checks because then you can take the bishop.
Right, so if queen c3, then we can take this guy.
Yeah, this is that's some
Sorry.
fancy lines there.
Okay, so this, it was actually played. I think we.
It was played. They played it.
Yeah,
Oh, oh.
So this is the
cool.
current position. Really tricky stuff.
Yeah.
So white is threatening to take on d5 with the queen, with lots of trouble for black, I suspect. So I think black needs to come up with something here.
Mhm.
But I mean, this seems very logical, yeah.
But of
But-
king f3, then yeah,
You
there's.
play something like.
And you have to
Doesn't
take
do
with the
anything.
king. Yeah. No, you don't have to take with the
You don't have to
king.
take
No,
with the
that's
king,
true.
but
Yeah.
very double-edged position here.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess the
Oh, I'm guessing +3. Yeah.
audience? Anyone wants to guess?
Then maybe.
You need to say plus or minus as well, because I have no clue who's actually better.
I'll say +3 actually. I think white has the.
+3?
Yeah.
Plus 4.5.
Oh, +4.
Materially, it's equal, yeah?
Yeah, but it's,
Amazingly enough.
it's the king in the center and the.
Both kings are in the center.
Yeah, but white's king is safe.
Maybe it is safe. Okay, +2, I say.
What?
So it's apparently minus 0.3.
We suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the very calm move, king c7.
Ah, of
I can,
course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I should have seen that, king c7, yes.
Yeah.
I don't expect king c7 to be played. I expect queen b2 to be played, but
If queen b2, then it's +3. That's
no,
my claim.
No, it's actually not. It's actually +1.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, let's have a look at Johann Sebastian versus Mosienko. Okay, so this needs to be taken. This needs to be taken. Materially, it's equal. Let's see what happened in this game.
Mhm.
So Johann Sebastian plays another one of his weapons, let's call it, which is the C3 Sicilian. He actually made a course of this on.
I did.
Yeah, on. I'm not sure if it's Chessable or Chess24.
And then you should know the opening.
So this is very common stuff. This position, there are 483 games in the database, and that's from classical games played by good players.
Yeah. So yeah.
Very standard. Okay, so he's going for a checkmate here, being stopped by g6.
He saw the mate coming.
Saw the mate coming.
Good player.
Prevented it. Queen f4. So white's hope is to create some sort of mating attack here.
But even this position have been played a bunch of times before.
Yeah. Any known players here?
So
Not that I.
20 moves into the games and still in play.
Yeah. f5, tricky move.
So yeah, they're probably both aware of they're playing really quickly. At least Johann Sebastian is. So
Yeah. c4.
so this is the first position that hasn't been played in a classical game before.
Yeah, after
c4.
23 moves. Not the Leech's database either.
Not on Lichess either, and that's billions of games.
Yeah. So they are both playing now, not from memory or any preparation, I suspect, but by simply using their brains. I'm not sure how to evaluate this. I think it's kind of equal. 0.0. Let's jump over to Magnus's game. This game will last a little bit longer, and it all depends who is better at maneuvering, I think.
Yeah. And
Whoa.
okay, here stuff has happened.
Whoa, what is this? Okay, so we left it off here after bishop f5, bishop d3. Okay, so takes on c4, takes on e4. So the problem here is if white takes the pawn on c4 with the queen, then queen b2 wins a rook, I think. And if he takes with the bishop, then knight g3.
Some nasty discoveries.
Is a double threat, which is also not so nice. So he decides to take the knight instead, and it seems that we are winning a piece, but queen b2.
And this hasn't been played in the classical game either.
No, trapping the rook, so how... Oh. Huh. So he takes this knight off the board. I have no clue what's going on. Check. Takes. Now, knight f3.
Wow.
Just dropping the rook, but probably necessary in order not to...
This almost reminds me of
lose.
that famous game, the Evergreen game. Is that what it's called? Where you sacrifice some rooks and stuff?
Yeah. So Magnus is down a rook.
Wow, and he's...
Not an entire rook, but for a piece. But
wow, so the queen is...
the queen is currently trapped in the corner.
Prisoned. Yeah, can only go from h1
You
to
can't go
g1.
to g1 and h1.
Yeah, so it's a useless queen for now. Maybe that's the point, just gives up a rook to...
So if white gets enough time here, he can play
Knight c3.
knight c3, rook to d1, and then
You need to protect...
queen here
d3.
and knight here, and then the queen will be trapped.
Yeah. You know what? Let's do a predictions for the people in chat so they can spend their channel points predicting who wins this game.
Yeah, let's
We
go.
just
Let's
go
go for
to
it.
that so people can... Whoa. Because it's a really interesting game, and we'll just start the prediction and call it Will Magnus win? And that's a prediction.
Yes.
Yes or no. Let's start the prediction. Will Magnus win this game? And we
Yes.
have yes and no, and people can get 2 minutes to vote. And we start.
Very nice.
So let's go.
Very strange position. Shevchenko have decided to develop the rook by playing first h5 and then rook h6, trying to bring the rook maybe into the game via e6 or somewhere else. Whereas Magnus is still trying to trap the queen. So if you get 2 moves now with white, we can play queen to g3 maybe, and then knight f3, and the queen would be trapped. But
Yeah, this is...
okay, so rook e6 was played, bringing the rook into the game.
So the result entirely depends on whether Magnus will manage to trap the queen or not. I don't think there's
Just the
anything
moves.
else. Queen g3 now, just go for the trap.
No, the knight f3. Hitting this and hitting
Of
this.
course, you have, but yeah.
So what do? Magnus is now kind of threatening to just start gobble up pawns. I'm not sure if that's his intention, but G6 seems logical because it's now certainly you can get the bishop active on G7 or H6. Strange way to develop for both players in this game. And Magnus is down a lot of material
It
here.
is.
He's down 2 pawns
And an exchange.
and an exchange, so he needs
He needs to trap the queen, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. But will he manage?
Or maybe.
Maybe now Queen G3 is playable. Earlier it was a little bit weird because Rook G6 would come, but now after G6, maybe this is possible. Threatening this or this with the queen being trapped. And I'm not so
Right.
sure how Black can prevent it. Or if he can at all.
Well, H4? Because you need to keep your queen on the diagonal. I mean, queen H2.
Yeah, right. You need to keep the queen on this diagonal
Yeah.
because if you take then queen H2 and suddenly it's escaping, I think.
Unless G3 and knight F3, rook G1.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Very nice. So if something like this, then queen would also be trapped this way. So queen G3 was played, H4 was played. I think we are,
Okay, they are.
finding some good moves here.
Yeah.
Any alternative here? Maybe go back. Now he takes on H4. Maybe we are expecting this move, but I'm not so sure what happens after G3 here. I'm not sure at all.
Now this seems rook F6, just to prevent to take on F3 if
Right.
knight F3. Maybe
No,
that's
you can even play Queen G2 and
yeah,
play
of
it this way.
course, of course, yeah. So that maybe that's the.
That's a good resource, yes.
Mm.
So Queen H2 was played, G3 was played. Now we are expecting this one. Maybe not. We have this Knight E4 move, which is first of all covering F2, but also threatening the rook. I don't see what to do about this, because now again this is a threat after you move the rook.
Mhm.
Bishop G7 was played, but yes, Knight F3, Queen G2, yes.
Okay. And now rook G1. Well,
Okay, so maybe he's banking on something like this,
and now
because materially it's actually kind of even.
white screen is almost no, it's not almost trapped. It has some squares.
Here, maybe.
Yeah, okay, and maybe it's now it's black's turn to trap. With the rook E5 and
Rook
and
E5 and rook
and H5.
H5.
Yeah.
Wow.
Problem is that it's hanging on D4, but
Okay. So after Queen G2, Magnus decides not to go for Rook G1, immediately trapping the queen,
okay.
but rather go for Queen H7.
What?
So first of all, it's hitting the bishop.
But now rook F6, then knight E. No, then what? Why isn't it just winning?
Is this just winning?
What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, this has been played as well. What was his intention? I think he must have missed this. No, there's nothing here, right?
Oh.
And
And
Magnus
it's over.
resigns.
What? Did he just miss it?
He probably just missed Rook F6.
Wow.
Could have played Rook G1 here, but apparently, the issue was Rook takes D4. So if you take it with a knight, then the rook is hanging.
Yeah.
Okay. So great victory for Shevchenko here against Magnus Carlsen, who ends up with 2 out of 2 with 2 wins and 2 losses. We have also another result in the game, Christiansen Mosienko. We dropped it off. Yeah, this was it was this game, right? Let's see. After C4, it ended in a draw. By the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they traded off. Black was slightly better here, but yeah, he offered a draw and it was accepted.
Let me just settle the prediction, because we have a no. Magnus didn't win, so people can cash in their points. Those who voted voted for no. Let's see how many. Okay, 81% voted yes, 19% no.
Okay.
So let's go and pick the result. No.
So the house won.
Yes. And now they'll win their channel points. So here we go.
Congratulations to those of you who predicted correctly.
Yes.
We have 2 remaining games. Here we have Arantari versus Kusubov, where we have this very interesting position. He did decide to go for King C7, which was also the best move according to the computer.
Yes, and here we have GM Sebastian Christensen joining us.
Yes, congratulations with a draw in a bad position.
Oh, was it a bad position?
Apparently it was...
Because he offered me a draw and I refused it.
Ah, okay.
And then I just offered a draw because I realized my position was shit.
Yes, minus 1. Yeah. And this will surely end up in a draw. Opposite colored bishops, 2 pawns each. Surely this should be a draw, yeah?
Yep.
So let's see if Lars Oskar can redeem himself. It doesn't seem that way. He is down 1 pawn materially, but the big issue here is that Black can start running, I think. I think if you get the time, you can play King E5, then start pushing with F5 and G5 and G4. Can jump back a little bit to where we left off. We left off around after G4. Knight D7, E4. Is that in the...
E3. Wow.
Seems okay. But everything was traded off there, and what we end up with is a situation where it seems to me that White has too many weaknesses, too many weak pawns. This is weak, this is kind of weak, this is very weak. So he tried to get active rooks and an attack on the F7. Unfortunately, this check followed by Knight H6 is just protecting, and this cannot be touched whatsoever. This bishop, even though it's in the middle of the board, it's not doing too much, is it? The king is in a bit of trouble as well, and now pawns are starting to drop.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
Another point just to run with the pawn.
Yeah, the Aran Tari versus Yuri Kusubov game ended in a draw. So the result of this game will decide this match, but we expect a loss as well, which would make this another 3-1 win to the Ukrainian team, who has really outperformed this match. Or what would you say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think all of them were playing very good today.
Yeah, it seems
Especially
that way.
Kusubo was on fire today.
Yeah, really playing really well.
Yeah.
And you were on fire against Ivanchuk.
Yeah, but still, I played very well. It happens.
Yes.
How Black can do anything, right?
Knight f5 was a bit strange.
You think so?
Yeah.
How come?
Why
Okay.
not king e5?
Yeah, I agree. This and
Yeah,
this.
yeah, and just
Maybe
Yeah, but
demon.
no, you just check 5 there. No, but you can go f5 after here, f5.
f5,
King
g5.
d6. c6, king d7.
Yes, and
GG.
Oh
it's
yes.
GG because the bishop is trapped. Okay, so this is the position. This is a matter of technique, right? Because white has very little counterplay and just have to sit and wait for black's move.
No one
Anything?
is. Is there anything weird with the sound? No,
No, I
it's
don't think
okay.
I should be working perfectly. I think.
Yes.
Jockey for candidates.
For
yeah,
candidates.
definitely. So at least we can say a big thank you to all the organizers of this event and for all the players who willingly stepped up. Magnus
Yeah.
Carlsen, the world champion, and also 4 Ukrainian very strong grandmasters playing in city west, sorry, so west in Ukraine, but in a country that is currently in a war, which is really extreme to say the least. So I hope all of you are donating to UNICEF or to Røde Kors in Norway.
Use the link in chat there to donate to. Doesn't it work? Yeah, there we go.
Yes, very good.
There's information for donating. So thanks to everyone who donated. And yeah, it's been a fun match, fun games.
A lot of very interesting games, and the Ukrainians, as I mentioned, they are in good fighting spirit. I don't think there is much hope here for Los Oscar. Unfortunately, he's trying his best to fight, but this should just be a matter of time before he ends up losing this game, I think. It's like there are no really.
Might win on time.
Might win on time, that's right.
Could go for the flag. That's
Ivanchuk
true.
did lose
He did lose
his first game against Magnus on time in a drawn position, so it could happen.
And Oscar, he's a fast online player, so if he
Indeed.
gets his ultra bullet speed up, then
Okay, so Ivanchuk decides to trade off, claiming that this is a one rook endgame. I think I like to agree with him on that claim.
And yeah, Eric, the Ukraine team is in Lviv, if that's how you pronounce it.
Lviv, yes. So now black should just start pushing, I think. Push the pawn.
Push him, baby, as Yasser Serra
Yes.
likes to call it.
Wow. King e5. So,
What?
what could
Okay.
happen after rook c5?
King e4.
King e4. And this is 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3 pawns versus the king is not possible to stop, but these 2 are possible to stop with the king.
Well, it's not actually.
I blundered it.
You blundered it. Well, okay.
Blunder was this one.
You had to
F5 was
one move.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he went for the f pawn, which is seems logical to me. Rook f6. Okay, so none of the pawns are dropping. E5 or king e5?
Rook f5.
Rook f5, you think? Yes. But no, king h4 was played. G1 takes.
I think Turkey missed rook takes f7.
I think he must have missed rook
He only
f7.
checked rook takes e5.
Because now it's. My prediction of loss is not so good anymore. I think this is a draw.
Should be.
Should be a draw,
Still
yeah.
a bit tricky.
The pawn is running quite quickly.
Just follow him.
You need to go for these pawns.
You have to go g2, g2,
G2 also.
g2. G2, king h2, and then
And rook b1. So takes in this should be.
What happened to their clocks? Oh, there we go. So they're down to, yeah. Down to the last minute.
yeah, and he, yeah.
Here,
Rook b6 is more active.
b6. I see. Okay, so this is the current position. We have some hopes for a draw here, even though it will not even out the match.
Yeah. Magnus lost his game against Shevchenko.
He did in a very strange game, I would say.
Yeah, it was a weird game.
I think I have to go back and look at that game.
It was a
after.
fun game.
It was a
yeah.
fun game, even though we lost.
Yeah.
But rook b2.
That's a nice one. King takes g3, king c3.
Oh.
Yeah, it was played.
Okay.
It should be a drawn position.
King is in time to go back.
Yeah, so king f3 takes.
Rook c6.
You cannot trade. c6.
The king is in time.
Then the king gets here.
Yeah.
And this is a known drawing position. But
Still tricky.
still a little bit tricky. And even though white is currently up one pawn, it is definitely black who's pushing here, trying to win. So white needs to be quite accurate here. Only 2 moves, holding the draw. The good thing is that these are 2 of the most natural moves, I would say. King f3 is at least really natural. Rook c6 maybe not so much, but
I play rook c6 very nice.
yeah, okay, so this is maybe easier. Because if you give up the pawn, then obviously this is a draw. No, this is not a draw.
That was the whole point.
So you managed to lose it.
I did manage to lose it. Wow.
Yes. Anything can happen.
Okay, so yeah, so king f3 takes rook c6.
King d3
King
is classic.
d3.
It's classic.
It's classic. Still trying somehow to win this position.
Rook c8, rook c3 is winning. Because you want to take on c4 with the rook.
Ah, and then the king can't get on in time. Yeah, that's interesting.
Very
It might be
interesting.
hard to spot. King
Yeah.
f2 is also natural.
King f2, yeah.
Oh, you play rook c8 now. Now rook c3 is winning first.
He did play it, and now black can win
So
this.
he can win by
By
taking
playing
with
rook,
a rook.
He played
rook
rook c3.
c3.
Ja, turn D6 tapt istället för turn Z.
Ton G6.
Ja, turn D6.
Ton D6. Ja.
So we have a question if rook. Let's see here if rook d6. No, that's also should be a draw as well. Like this. Yeah. But now, after rook c3, this position is actually lost. The problem is that the king is cut off from the promotion square, so the pawn will eventually run. King b1. And now, is there any hope for white here to try and mess things up for black?
Rook d8 maybe?
Rook d8. Only 2 moves winning. For black, what do you think they are?
That is. It's not easy actually, I'm not sure.
These two, apparently.
Sorry?
King b2 and king c2.
I thought about king b2, but it's not. Yeah, it's probably.
Give a check or?
Yeah, because king d3, yeah, then you give a check.
Okay, king d3.
King d3, you give a check.
1 move winning.
Rook c3 check.
Yeah. So I expect this one.
Yeah, I think it's not bad.
Made in 57. According to the table, but
And then check.
Nice.
yes.
Rook c2.
And here.
Probably after king d2, c4 and so on.
Yeah, now apparently all moves are winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here rook h2 is.
Except
The king will be kind of.
So the problem is, let's say,
Rook h2.
check, then king c3,
Yeah.
and the king can't go
It's on the
here.
wrong side. If it would be on the other side, it would be a draw.
The
Like
king
if
was
it-
here.
If it would be on a2.
The rook would be on a2.
The king would be on a2. Like you're gonna give a check and then he goes to a2. Then it's a draw. But
Uh-huh.
e2 it's on the long side.
Yeah, we're getting some GM input here from the sideline. Okay, so c4, explosive move. Rook c8, trying to hold on. 3 moves winning.
King b3.
Yes. King b3 is one of them. Rook c1, which was played, is another.
That's better probably.
King d2, c3.
okay, this
Yeah.
slowly getting there.
Slowly getting there.
Now it's just to
Rook d1 is winning.
promote it, isn't it?
c2 is not winning.
No, but the rook d1 and then c2,
Yeah.
no matter what.
d3,
Yeah.
c2,
And GG.
and now we will see. We could see one of the Philidor themes. The bridge. The bridge. Is it called the bridge in English?
You don't need a bridge. You can just go to the thing. You don't need to go to c.
Ah, you can just
Okay,
walk
yeah.
up
Just walk up.
because.
And Lars Oskar Hauge resigned. Ivanchuk won.
Ivanchuk won the game after in this position, and that means that Ukraine won this match as well. They won all 4 matches. This 3-1, outperforming the Norwegian team by quite a large margin.
Yeah, they did. And the world champion Magnus, he lost 2 games, won 2 games and lost 2.
Only scoring 50%. Okay. Congratulations to the Ukrainian team. I think it's very nice that they won the match, and maybe not by the numbers that they did, but that they won in the end either way.
Yeah.
Thank you all for participating in this event. To you people who are here watching live, to all the people on Twitch. We can say that the donation will be open until tomorrow, so please feel free to donate.
Using the
it
links.
helps quite a lot. I think that's it. Do we want any commentators or anything from the? I think.
We have to. Nah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you
That's
all
it.
for today. And tune in a couple of hours to the Champions Chess Tour if we
Yes.
can promote that a little bit as well. So thank you all for being here, and have a great weekend. Bye bye. Bye.